Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Save Continue podcast. My name is Ryan Robinson. That's Shanae.
Hi.
That's Tom.
Hello.
Every week we get together and talk about video games and related things. Tom, what have you been up to this week?
I want to talk about two games I've been playing.
Good.
I'm playing the Sexy Brutale. Not sure if I mentioned that last week or not.
We did.
It's very, very good. Maybe like in my top 20 or so games of all time.
Wow. Nice.
Wow.
It's really good. The Nintendo Switch port is fucking horrible.
Because it's the frame rate stuff and...
Frame rate and loading is real bad.
So,
and they've claimed to have fixed it. If you ask the developers, if you ask Tequila Works, according to them, it's fixed. It's not fixed.
See, like you said that to me last week, and it for me it begged the question, when they say fixed, did they mean that they went in there and they saw it and they're like, you know what, this seems acceptable?
I guess so. I guess it's acceptable to them. It's playable.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I played it.
But saying it's playable doesn't mean it's enjoyable.
It's real bad. Play it on any other platform.
So,
the PC version had the same problems at launch. They fixed the PC version.
So I got that game in a bundle maybe a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I installed it. I installed it while I was over here, and you watched me play the intro, I guess the prologue.
Mm-hmm.
That game's got a really cool premise to it. But one of the mechanics of the game, Shanae, is that, so basically, from what I gather, you gotta stop people. You have to save the lives of certain people.
Right.
And the game progresses according to a clock, and as time passes, different events happen, and so you can also rewind the clock if perhaps you were too late to get to something, or
So it's Groundhog Day. You're doing the same day over and over again.
And so you can, and fraud, I can tell you can do that as many times as you feel like you need to. And then it takes you kind of back to the beginning of the section. When you do that though, was it a long loading time every time?
That's not when loading occurs on the Switch version. Loading in that game occurs mostly when you're transitioning from room to room. And on the Switch version, you go into a room and it's sometimes literally up to a minute before you transition.
Right.
And it's not like there's a loading screen.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be just, you walk into the room, you know?
I've arrived.
Not like fucking Resident Evil walk into the room.
Yeah.
You just open the door and you're playing the game. Every other platform works that way. Switch version, sometimes you're waiting up to a minute.
And I could see how that would kind of, break immersion for you, especially when, sometimes when a killer would come into the room, and then you're like, oh shit, and then you have to run out of the room.
Yeah.
And then it kind of breaks that tension because you're just sitting there for a minute waiting for that.
Shit.
Well, the game already, like most games in the genre, you asked if it was an adventure game, and I said no. I don't know what else I would call it.
Yeah.
It's most similar to an adventure game, you know?
My brief time with the game, that's what it seemed like.
What'd you say?
But you explore an area and you have to find out where these people are being killed, right?
Yeah.
So but everything's on the clock, like Ryan said. So they're going to be killed at a specific location at a specific time.
With a specific thing.
Right. So you might spend, 10 minutes waiting to see if something's going to happen in a room, only to find that it's not. Rewind time, go to a different room and see if something's going to happen there. So it is a lot of waiting around. And when load times add to that, it just kind of ruins the experience. Like I said, I really do love this game, but don't play it on Switch. The second game I want to talk about is Hollow Knight, which I don't know why it took me so long to play Hollow Knight. I really do love Metroidvanias quite a bit, and this is that. But there's a few interesting things about the game that really do set it apart. The Mummy Demastered is Super Metroid.
Yeah.
It's Super Metroid with a different skin, There's a few interesting things about Hollow Knight. It's like most Metroidvanias are relatively easy, at least to me.
Yeah.
10 hours, you're in and out. There's not much to it. I've dumped 10 hours into this, and I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what there is. There's, it's a very long game. And it's broken up, interestingly, it's broken up into different segments like a lot of these games are. but you get a map per segment. So when you first arrive into a new area, you might be playing for a couple hours before you get a proper map. So you're just kind of wandering aimlessly.
Right.
That's really interesting to me. The other interesting thing is most Metroidvanias, at least 2D Metroidvanias, for the most part are built on a grid system like a lot of old school 2D games are. Even the Money Master is built that way. Whereas Hollow Knight can have actual slopes to the platforming. Sounds like it's a small thing, but in a genre that rarely has that, it's pretty impressive. The other thing is that there are these charms that you socket in that give you different abilities, and there's a fuck ton of them.
Right.
And basically all that means is this game has builds, which to me is really cool. I've never seen a game like this with builds. I mean, I guess you count like Symphony of the Night, sort of, depending on what you equip.
Right.
Kind of, but not to this extent, you know? And then lastly, the enemy variety is crazy. Within the first 3 hours of the game, I've seen more enemies than most games of this genre have to offer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
With other Metroidvanias. Go ahead.
Sorry. And are they unique, or are they like just like a slightly variation of like the same type?
Some are variations, but it doesn't matter. There's a tremendous amount of unique ones with unique movesets, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can have a variety, but they all just, like, spit flames. But
Well, like,
some
one of the first
different
guys, you come
colors.
across, like, a little beetle-looking dude, and he just charges forward at you, right? And then you come across one that's a little beetle-looking dude with a horn, and he just charges at you. So, like, yeah, those are basically the same thing. But, like, very quickly you discover dozens and dozens of different enemies that all have unique movesets, and it's really impressive. Visually, I know a lot of people like the visuals. I don't, but mechanically, I like this game a lot, so I'm gonna try to see it through.
As a fan of Dark Souls, one of the things I liked about Hollow Knight going into it was kind of the atmosphere of the game. It's got like kind of a very lonely and kind of grim tone to it. Especially when running into like a very few like those initial NPCs that you run into.
Yeah.
It kind of had that same feel to it for me. And
So I don't know about like late game. Like I said, I'm maybe 10 hours in, right?
Yeah.
But like I've ran into a lot of NPCs that are like not your enemies.
Yeah.
You know. So I wouldn't call it lonely, but.
I guess I don't. I was initially into that game, and then like I guess the more that I played it, I guess it didn't hold me the way that I had hoped. I bought it because of all the praise that I'd heard about it.
I think if you were not good at Metroidvanias or 2D games like this in general, it might be hard for you.
Yeah.
You know, but mechanically it's extremely impressive.
And the combat too is with a lot of Metroidvanias like as with the Mummy or Guacamelee, it's easy to kind of just get by, like just mash up those guys and then get through them. But with Hollow Knight, there's more to it than that.
There really is, but it also depends a lot on your build. So I've gotten to the point where I'm kind of just like a tank.
Yeah.
So I can take the hits from the bosses and just stand there and spam the hit button.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it seems like a very cool game. I don't know. I guess I just couldn't really get into it, and I think it had a lot to do though, with I felt like because it takes a while before you get that first map, and actually I don't know how long it takes
like 10 minutes.
And that's the funny thing is I never got that. I played that game for I'd say about a total of like maybe 5 hours, and I never got that map, and I don't know if I kept passing by where I was supposed to go and missed it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never felt myself making any headway in that, and I guess that kind of turned me off to it.
Yeah.
But I think I may give a third chance.
You have to be. It's like reminds me almost of like Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah.
Or like really any grid-based game. It's way different than the Etrian series.
I was like,
but
really?
Like any grid-based game, whether it's top-down, first person, or side view, in that like when you don't have a map, you can kind of just systematically go through each square and know what you've charted and what you haven't.
Right.
And like with most Metroidvanias, when you go to an area that you haven't been to previously, it unlocks on an actual map for you.
Right.
This does not.
Right.
You know, so that can make it harder. But like, it'd be super simple to sit down and map this game out.
Yeah. I know that you told me that the Mummy, like if I wanted to do everything, if I wanted to see everything,
Yeah.
it'd be about 10 hours.
Yeah.
With Hollow Knight, I've heard people putting like 50 hours in this game.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many bosses there are. I don't know how many areas there are, but it seems like a really.
I have fought a
good-sized game.
lot of bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting any real sense of like what the story or narrative is there?
Not a tremendous amount, but it's all very vague.
Yeah.
You hear people talk about Hollow Knight, and like it's very much like a From Software style of storytelling, in that it's more lore than actual story presentation.
Right.
Which is fine. I could take it or leave it. I don't typically play Metroidvanias for the story.
Yeah.
You know, but
As an aside, did you ever play Assault and Sanctuary?
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it did not interest me in the least.
After spending some time with it,
Mhm.
because I played it around when it came out, because I was needing something to tide me over until Dark Souls 3 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't like that game. But I'm glad to hear that you're liking Hollow Knight. From what I hear, you're in great company with that, because I know a lot of people are really into it.
Oh yeah.
Sinead, what have you been up to?
Next week, I should be dealing with Kingdom Hearts.
I don't believe you.
I don't either. I'm taking that with a huge bag of salt.
Well, last week I was like a fourth in, or like a third in, to like Kingdom Hearts Return of Distance. I am now almost done.
Okay.
Okay.
So I basically just have one movie once I finish this, and then I'm done with Kingdom Hearts and can get on to God of War and whatever else I want to play with that.
You already have God of War?
I'm gonna buy it.
Okay.
I have the money.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna buy God of War,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll hear me talk about Kingdom Hearts less.
I mean, look, man.
To an extent.
Like I said,
I'm still, because I did also, off the show last week, I talked about how I have yet to see a good timeline video of Kingdom Hearts where it is in timeline of the universe and not of the games. And I really want to make my own of that. And I kind of like started mapping that out and doing some of the...
Is the timeline up for debate?
For particular characters that time travel,
Mm-hmm.
to an extent, yes.
I didn't know that there was time travel. I feel like that complicates things a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. You are correct, sir. It makes things more annoying. But there's also 13 versions of the same character in the game, so...
Wait, 13 versions of whom? I'm just curious.
The antagonist.
Who was that again?
Goofy.
Is Goofy the real villain?
He goes by different names, but basically his name is Ansem and Xehanort, but he's not the original Ansem.
You may know him as Zipper Pete.
No, Goofy is not Zipper Pete.
Okay. Well, Zipper Pete is Zipper Pete.
Yeah. By the way, I realized I forgot done with that. The reason I got the term Zipper Pete is of another podcast. I actually may have realized it at the time, but I tweeted at them and they liked it, and that was nice.
You tweeted what at them?
Oh, that we ended up naming our episode of Zipper Pete because I listened to their podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, you'll probably still hear me talk about Kingdom Hearts because I think I'm gonna, because I already started working on that, doing a timeline video thing for that, or at least like the beginnings of doing an outline of it, because I have many friends that I have talked to in real life
Okay.
that are excited about Kingdom Hearts 3, but they've only played Kingdom Hearts 2 or just 1 and 2, and I'm like, that's not enough. You're not gonna know what's going on.
You don't think so?
No, because there's characters like Aqua who are in Birth by Sleep and Birth by Sleep Fragmentary Passage, and the amount of people I've talked to that when they start Kingdom Hearts 2 and they don't know who Roxas is, and they don't know why he exists, and they don't know why the first 4 hours of the game are this other character that's not Sora, is just, there's a lot of people, like, you don't, even from 1 to 2, there was a short, like, there was not as much time between 2 and 3, so there was not many games in between, and even then, they didn't understand what's going on. There's been many more games, and people don't know who characters are.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, because they've come out and said that, like, they're not going to try to recap anything for anybody.
Well, they haven't
right?
for any of the games. Anyways, like the beginning,
Right.
the beginning of the game, you hear the theme song and the splash screens, and that's it.
But what I'm curious as to, like, I don't know. There's plenty of games that are like sequels or in some way loosely tied to previous games, right? And you see this a lot with current gen. Things like the new God of War, things like Resident Evil 7, where they are technically sequels, but you don't really have to have played the other games, you know? You might get more from them if you have, but to understand those stories, you don't really need them.
You don't understand. A lot of people don't understand, like who haven't played the side games, don't understand who Roxas was, and don't understand why you started off as him in Kingdom Hearts 2. And there's like I said, like Aqua. If you never played any of the side games, you don't know who she is, and you don't know why she's important, and you don't know where she's been. So, like, and things like that, and I'm seeing like other kind of said things, even like because I've watched now all of the fucking like teaser trailers from every convention multiple times, and looked at like other things that, like in interviews and things like that. They've talked about stuff, which the interviews I can push out, but like just look at the trailers. I just don't see how you're not going to be confused without playing the side games. Because when I played Kingdom Hearts 2 the first time, and the second time, I didn't play Chain of Memories, so I didn't understand necessarily why Roxas was there or anything like that. And even while reading just Wikipedia pages, I didn't understand who Roxas was until I actually played it or watched a Let's Play thingy of it. But yeah, no, but I would like to do like a complete thing of things that I think are only going to be important to go into Kingdom Hearts 3 and not like necessarily have to flesh everything out. But at least have like a bare bones thing that people can watch and it be in a timeline where things make more sense. And not necessarily for games, but just all the way up until Kingdom Hearts 3. Because Kingdom Hearts 3 is right after all of the other games. Like it ties in, like it makes sense about what things are happening.
It's a lot of hand wagging.
Yeah. It is. But like Kingdom Hearts Dream About Distance, like they're doing the Keyblade Mastery test, and that's gonna play, and that is the whole premise of Kingdom Hearts 3. Really, is because Sora doesn't become a Keyblade Master.
You gotta get your certification.
Yeah, you gotta get those certs.
Yeah.
So because he doesn't have his certs, that's why Kingdom Hearts 3, the main story is with that. But like you don't understand that like Riku already has his. Which these names mean nothing to Tom.
Or me. I don't know who you're.
I know who most of the people you named are.
Okay.
I know Sora and Riku sounds familiar.
Silver hair boy.
Okay.
Boy, not man.
I have to like, and you know, I have to wonder because like I think about The Legend of Zelda, and I don't know anything about that timeline or the canon.
Yeah.
Of any of that, but I feel like the Legend of Zelda games that I have played, I was able to play them as their own thing.
Absolutely.
And I get that that Kingdom Hearts 3 is being made in a way that is very specific to the fan base, and it's for the fans and people who have kept up with it. But I also kind of have to wonder if that storyline is a bit too convoluted for its own good. It
is. Same with Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
is weird because I feel like I was able, I don't know. But I haven't played a lot of like the side Metal Gear Solid games, but I played every numbered entry and also Peace Walker, and I don't know, I feel like I got a pretty good grasp of what's going on there. But like all the names that you throw out with Kingdom Hearts, I feel like I would get lost, especially if I gotta watch movies and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like obviously they're gonna make it to where like you can understand stuff. And I played Kingdom Hearts 2 fine a couple times without playing Chain of Memories or knowing the story.
Yeah.
But I definitely like they'll probably definitely go over a lot of things like what Sora is doing, whatever. And you can grasp the concept. But like I don't know, I just feel like it's not gonna like make a lot of sense.
Well, in comparing the Zelda timeline and the Kingdom Hearts timeline is kind of apples to oranges. Like they're very different. They're not trying to storytell in the same way, you know.
Yeah. But then again, I don't know that
I feel
because
like,
I don't know anything. I don't know a whole lot about Zelda, and I know next to nothing about Kingdom Hearts.
I feel like Metal Gear and Kingdom Hearts are more comparable.
Similar. Yeah.
Yep.
Because they kind of have a thing going.
But even then, I feel like there's probably
canon.
But
like the canon of Ganon.
But even then, like comparative, like numbered games to side games, even then they're vastly different.
Yeah.
Not that like Metal Gear hasn't had side games. When we think about all the side games of Kingdom Hearts to the numbered games, obviously. Disproportionate.
Metal Gear.
Oh, there's a lot of Metal Gear Solid like spin-offs.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid doesn't have any time travel, but it does have wormholes.
Yeah.
And now zombies.
Sure. Canon.
Yeah.
Canon.
Yeah.
I mean,
but part of why I like Metal Gear Solid so much is because of how partly because of how wacky it is.
Yeah.
Because if you go through even just the numbered games, like all that stuff is just crazy. Like it's just nuts. But like I'm still like super into it. But I think that
Peace Walker makes Snake kind of a pedophile.
A little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's implied that he has sex with Paz.
Yeah.
It's Paz.
Paz is this. She's this girl who's about maybe 13.
Ooh, I was like, PlayStation's like 16 or like
They definitely go on a date.
Yeah.
And it's very heavily implied that they're doing it in that box.
Yeah.
They
don't come out and say it.
And they put that box in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
children's game.
That's a family, right? You have to wonder what's Konami up to. Implied sex crimes aside, though.
Yeah, we. When I went and had brunch with the friend today, that I haven't seen him in over a decade, or about a decade, and yeah, that was one of the things we were talking about is Kingdom Hearts and Metal Gear and comparing like timelines and stuff like that, and also we talked about Nier Automata. Automata.
The thing about it, though, is some people who don't know refer to Big Boss and Snake interchangeably.
Sure.
Which I can understand because they look identical because one is a clone of the other.
Well, and Big Boss is called Snake at certain points.
Yeah,
not called Solid Snake.
When you first meet him, when you're first able to play as him in the Metal Gear Solid franchise, he's known as Naked Snake.
Right. So to call him Snake, I wouldn't think is wrong.
Yeah. But I'm saying that a lot of people, I'm not saying that calling him Snake is wrong. I never said that. What I'm saying is that they use them interchangeably as if to say that they're the same person, which technically they are because is a clone the same thing as being the same person? I don't know. But
I mean,
what did you talk about with Nier Automata?
If you time travel and like talk to your past self, are you both the same person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nier Automata, what did you talk about?
Oh, basically just how good of a game it was, and then I talked about how many endings you got. And
How many endings did you get?
Didn't you get like 22?
Oh, and you were talking about how many
me?
he got.
Yeah.
I got all of them but one.
Okay.
How long did that take you, by the way?
Not too long.
Yeah.
Not too less than 20 hours, probably.
Yeah, like Berto was like, really? And then one of the people we were having brunch with, which was one of my old friends, good friends, and he was like, yeah, some of them you can get within like 4 hours or less.
Oh, some of the endings you can get in a matter of seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
You can get one of them just by dying.
Yeah. That's an ending, is dying in the tutorial.
Yeah.
The tutorial?
Mm-hmm.
That's really fun.
What else are you up to?
Just playing a couple phone games.
You playing any new puzzle games?
Not really. Just like a lot of RPG stuff, and yeah, I was looking for God of War, and then today I kind of decided I should look at what I'm gonna play after God of War.
You're looking that far ahead?
Yeah, because I don't feel like God of War comparative to like all the Kingdom Hearts games is gonna take me that long to beat.
Yeah, I think God of War will be pretty short, unless you try to 100% everything.
I'll probably be a completionist about one factor in it, and it's probably not gonna be that big of a factor. And then so I think I'm just gonna. Yeah.
Do you have anything in your? Do you own any games that you haven't even touched yet?
On my PC, yeah, and even on my Switch now. But I was thinking about downloading.
Splatoon 2?
That sounds like a game
I
that
already
Tom likes.
own that game. I own it.
You just don't play it.
No, I don't.
Have you
Neither does
tried it?
Berto. Yes, I have. Why am I blanking? It's the first game you talked about in your section.
Sexy Brutal?
Yes.
You bought that on Switch?
No, I was thinking of buying it for Switch.
Don't buy it on Switch.
Buy it
Well,
on your
now I
computer.
won't.
Yeah, buy it on Steam. Buy it on your console. Don't buy it. Yeah, just don't buy it on Switch.
Yeah.
But as far as backlog goes,
I don't think that I could be wrong, but I don't think that there are any boyfriends in Sexy Brutal. So.
the name's misleading.
Sure.
But
There's love.
I have a couple Atome games that I want to buy and I have on my wish list. But as far as like backlog stuff, I just have things that are like way too long and I know I don't want to beat, like things like Animal Crossing, which.
Well, I
Can
mean,
you
what is
even beat
beating
that?
Animal Crossing? You know?
I was like, can you even beat that? And a couple other games for like my 3DS that I still have yet to beat, or I wanted to like replay, like Fire Emblem and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really have too much of my backlog right at the moment, to be honest. I have things that I just want to buy.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to you starting God of War only because I haven't played it, and I'd like to know someone who's played it because I don't know anybody.
I just want to be mad at my son. That's all I want.
Okay.
Rez played it.
Was he mad at his son?
No, he loves his son.
If there's one thing I can say about Rez is that he loves his babies. I tried. I fired up for the first time Sniper Elite 4 the other night.
How was that?
That game's badass. That game is so cool.
It's not surprising.
That game, like, okay, so my exposure to the Sniper Elite universe was Zombie Army Trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
We played it with you. And that was cool enough. But this is Sniper Elite. So I played Sniper Elite 4. I got it in the latest Humble Monthly package, and it was I've never played a game based almost completely on sniping, and it has you doing all these different things like if you play, so you can play it on different difficulties, and different difficulties have you factoring for different things. And on the hardest difficulty, you're having to account for things like bullet drop and wind speed and direction and shit like that.
So you're doing it on baby mode?
I'm doing it on the step above baby mode because I started the game at like 2 a.m. and I was like, I don't want to have to think about like wind speed and all that shit.
Well, if you're gonna snipe somebody, you need to account for that.
But it is so.
How do you do with golf games?
Not great.
Yeah.
No.
I played the Rugrats mini golf game and I did great at that.
Does that count? Does Rugrats golf have wind to account for?
Well, if it's mini golf, all you're doing is putting.
Mini golf.
Yeah. So, cause they're not strong enough to drive.
I don't know, but I like killed it at Reptar course.
But it's the I played maybe like a good part of what I guess is the first mission, and it's just got like a really, really satisfying feel to it, and getting like lining up that shot and then watching the bullet like zoom out of the barrel and then it like goes into the guy's dome and like you see the bullet go through his brain and shit. It's neat.
Is it very satisfying?
Yeah, like that takes straight from the Sniper Ghost Warrior series. But
and then like and it's got like each mission, like the mission has like different objectives for you to complete, and it has different ways for you to kind of like take guys out. Like, are you gonna snipe them individually? Or are you gonna wait for them to gather around like a gas barrel and like blow them up? And but one of the things about it is at its core it is a stealth game, and my thing with stealth games or games with stealth sections in them is that if I get discovered, I have to go back to the checkpoint every time. I'm that's just my thing, and so
I'm the same way.
And so like there is a lot of me like reloading saves every time like a guy's basically like, hey look, he's over there, and like start shooting at me. I'm like, well, and I reload the save. And
I think that's why I didn't get into Dishonored.
Yeah.
Because like it tells you, oh, you can do it stealth. Like you don't have to kill a single person in this game, or you can go in guns blazing. You know.
Yeah.
And it tells you like either is a good option. Because I know stealth is a good option, I try to do it that way.
Well, and
I'm just like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
It's raining, by the way, if you hear that. Sorry.
Yeah. But with Dishonored, Birdo did that. He did like the hard mode where basically if you get hit once, you die. So I watched him do all the stealth, and I was like, but you can still like kill people in like the most difficult mode. And I was like, I'm gonna get through the whole game without killing somebody.
Yeah.
I can do that. And I was like, I could totally do that. And then, literally, like after the tutorial, I got annoyed and killed somebody who was like the mask maker.
Yeah. Well, that one, like typically, I think first-person stealth doesn't work well.
Yeah, I think that it lacks the kind of like spatial awareness that you need for that shit to be effective, and it certainly can be done. And I've seen games that can do it well enough, like the Chronicles of Riddick game. I think. Was a pretty good first-person stealth game.
I also think like how you are playing the game, first-person stealth game really matters. Like, are you playing it with like nice headphones where you can listen to like everything around? How focused singularly can you be on this game? Really, also depends on if a person is going to enjoy.
I agree, but I also don't think that you should design a game in which somebody would have to spend the money on not only your game, but an expensive set of headphones to get the ideal experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like they're like, if you already have them, this is the ideal experience.
I don't know.
Sure.
It's just kind of...
With Dishonored, not necessarily every game, but with Dishonored, having that option, because you obviously didn't have to play it that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when games like kind of frame it as like, you know, you don't have to do stealth. You can do it any way you want, but like the game,
it's there.
The game, well, there's that, but then there's also like a game like Dishonored, which obviously favors stealth, and like you could like go all out, but like you're gonna have like a really well, for me anyway, you have like a really tough time with it because like the game isn't really balanced in a way that makes that like a viable way to go. But there are games that do it well, right? Like with Wolfenstein, it does have stealth sections. But even if the stealth goes like sideways, like you still have two guns that you can whip out and like still get through it. But yeah, and then I've made a bit of a return back to Elite Dangerous, just because I missed it and I've been wanting to get back into it. They've added a few things that I'm into, and they're working on some new season content, and they're also talking about releasing what is for the first time premium content, not like cosmetic shit, but like actual like gameplay stuff, which they haven't told us any of what that is, but because they're saying it's like way down the road, but I don't know. And then you know, putting more time into Mafia 3, which. Again, I guess it was really a time and a place thing before, because like before, like I kind of played it, and then I got to a point I was like, but now I'm fully like really into it.
Is it long?
I don't know, and it seems like the story is kind of progressing at like a decent clip.
Yeah.
But like, I was talking to you like off mic like last week about how it has like a lot of collectibles for you to get, and I think in like you attributed that as just basically like a way to kind of, you know,
it's padding.
It's like in a way to kind of artificially inflate the game, and in a way that's like it's the shitty part of it for me though is it is not satisfying to get those collectibles like at all, but at the same time like what's frustrating though is it's not satisfying to get those collectibles, but I also feel compelled to do it because I know they're there, and that's really irritating.
I hate that shit, man. Like it's one of the biggest things I cannot stand in video games. It's such a lazy way to make a game longer.
And it's
in Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
There's a mission a couple hours into that game where it's like, hey, go out there and collect 100 guns. and dump them in this chest. That's the quest.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but then again, that's one collectible, which over the course of I don't know how long, like at some point I guess you're gonna get 100 guns, but then you gotta consciously think about getting those guns for the specific purpose of dumping them into that stupid machine. But like Mafia has like a bunch of collectibles. You got the album covers, you got the Playboy magazines, you got the Hot Rod magazines, and then you have the circuits that's used for the wiretapping, and it's just so much that distracts from what actually makes what the good shit about that game that makes it okay. Like the shooting is good. Yeah. The driving is actually not as bad as I said before. Yeah. You know, like it distracts too much from that shit. It takes away from like doing the driving and like going off and doing like missions and shit like that. And like getting those collectibles is just like, it's not fun.
Which collectibles? What game?
Oh, Mafia 3.
Oh.
But
I like collectibles.
Where'd you go just then?
I went to pee.
Oh.
And then I washed my hands.
But yeah, it's just I think that collectibles honestly in most games is almost never the fun part of the game that they're in.
See, and I think it can be.
Yep.
It just depends on how it's done. With games like Donkey Kong 64, and it sounds like Mafia, and certain quests in Borderlands, it's bullshit. It is padding. That is what it is. It's there to artificially make the game longer, and that's sad, you know. But I think it can be done well.
Well, and I think that it also helps if that game's world is fun to traverse and
I'm gonna say collectibles like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild when it comes to Korok seeds.
Yeah, the Korok seeds for sure.
Mario Odyssey, all the stars.
Moons.
Some celestial body.
Well, I mean, the moons, I think some of them are great, but I think some of them are lazy.
Yes.
There are some that are really good, like extremely rewarding to get.
Well, there's some that are like, honestly, like, it's just like most people are never going to get.
Yeah.
And I think some, like, just being able to buy them in the shop is stupid.
Well, that's so people who aren't good at the game can still complete the game. Nintendo typically makes games that they want people to complete.
They're games for everybody.
But, you know, like going back to Nier Automata, you're collecting weapon upgrades. You want to upgrade your weapons, sure, but you have incentive to collect them for every weapon, regardless of if you use it or not, because there's interesting lore to each weapon, and with each upgrade, you get a bit more of that lore.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You know, Donkey Kong Country 64, Donkey Kong 64, like, it's not worth it.
Wow.
You know? Borderlands, the pre-sequel, it's sure as fuck not worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing, too, is that those collectibles add... Like, okay, so... at the very least, the wiretapping in Mafia 3 serves a practical purpose, right?
Yeah.
It makes it so that you kind of have a tactical advantage when going into certain enemy strongholds. And it also serves the purpose of revealing all the collectibles in that section of the map. But everything else, it just doesn't... Like, I was thinking about... as I'm playing it, I'm thinking about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the collectibles in that game, they add context to that world. And they add like backstory. Like there's a bunch of these collectibles in the game that kind of they're journal entries that are written by people from before the machines kind of like destroyed the planet. And that's really interesting stuff. But when you're scattering around like old Playboy covers from the 1960s and like old album covers, it's like for the purpose of what? And the thing about it is like it gives you like it doesn't even seem like Lincoln himself gives a shit about any of that stuff.
Right.
He's not a hot rod guy. He doesn't seem very much like a music collector, so it's like it just seems like out of place. And
what do you think what for you in particular necessarily defines what's a bullshit collectible and what's not? Like, I think there's plenty of games where the collectible to give you gives you like the ultimate weapon or the ultimate something in the game.
Well, we were discussing it before you walked in. Like, So this isn't a collectible in the sense of what you're thinking of, but it is still items that you have to go collect.
Yeah.
We're talking about Borderlands the pre-sequel. There's a quest within the first hour of that game where it is go collect 100 guns. You know how you kill things and you get guns in that game. Go collect 100 guns and put them in this box. That's padding to make that game longer, and that's bullshit.
But
so
it's not an interesting quest. There's no context to it. It's go get these guns, dump them in this box. That's fucking dumb.
Yeah, no, it should be like 25.
It shouldn't exist at all. It shouldn't exist at all. Like, that should not be a quest in that game. You know?
Well, I don't know the context. If they're like, oh, we'll like start this thing, blah, blah, blah. It was like, all right,
the context is here's a bullshit quest for you to do. That's the context. Like, I'm not even, like, seriously, that's the context. That's what half of that game is.
Well, it's also, it's playing on the basic Borderlands premise, right? The biggest thing that Borderlands has always sold itself on is look how many guns our game has.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's just...
The Guns Palooza.
And it's like... And that's the whole thing. And if you're talking about the difference between a bullshit collectible, which is that, or the shit that I'm talking about in Mafia 3.
Well, I don't think the loot in general, I don't think the guns is a bullshit thing, but to have a quest that has you going out to do this,
all right.
That's fucking
okay.
dumb.
So not just a particular quest, but a collectible in a game. What makes it bullshit? What makes it not?
Okay, a bullshit collectible is like I was talking about with Mafia 3, like picking up randomly placed Playboy magazines, right? And that's bullshit, right? But if you have a collectible that adds something to the world,
what happens if you get all of the Playboy magazines?
I'd probably get a trophy and nothing else.
It?
Like he doesn't at no point like Lincoln doesn't acknowledge that he's picking up a Playboy magazine. There is no context for the Playboy magazine to be where it is. It's just that's all it is. It's nothing more than an object that has no relevance or bearing.
Here's one, like The Last of Us. The Last of Us has some really cool collectibles. It's got some that like add lore and backstory to the game, but it also has those stupid fucking tags, which do nothing.
Yeah.
They're there for a trophy, you know? Like that's all they're there for. There's no context for them. You got like people would argue context because they're Firefly tags. What the fuck is Firefly doing like hanging their dog tags in these trees?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb. And it's a great fucking game. I love the game, but like that's a dumb collectible. You know.
Well, like now let's take it like another Naughty Dog game. Like one of the big collectibles is like finding those different like trinkets and treasures, which makes sense because Nathan is a treasure hunter.
Right.
And a lot of those are
absolutely,
and a lot of those are hidden in places where a treasure could conceivably be.
Absolutely. And it doesn't always have to be a context thing, right? With Mario Odyssey, like, I guess that is a context thing, but like there's context to collecting certain amounts of the moons because you need them to progress, right? That's what the ship is fueled on, right?
Like what, up to 500?
So there's reason that Mario would be out collecting these moons. But like what makes those collectibles okay and what makes them shitty at the same time is some of them you just stomp a shiny spot in the floor and one pops up, right? That's fucking lame. But some of them you have to try hard as balls to get to. And that's some of the best platforming in that game is getting some of those.
Well, see, that's
but also making those stupid ones. Mm-hmm. That are ridiculously hard to get, and I'm never going to do because I'm not good at platforming, even though I love Mario games.
Right.
Like,
that's why they give you the option to buy them, because you can't do those, so you can still see everything if you'd like to.
I'm just saying, like, I take out the buying part, make it lower on the number count. I know 500 is a nice round number, and it sounds very nice, but like...
Well, I'd say this. Even to get to the darker side of the moon...
Darkest
side of the moon, whatever. To see every area in that game, there's enough moons that are pretty easy to get. Like, you gotta be pretty god-awful to not be able to naturally get those moons.
Well, like, even if it doesn't add context, right? Like, I wouldn't mind, like, those collectibles that are there, that are just there to be collected. But at the same time, like, I feel like those collectibles are there specifically one, inflate the length of the game, and two, to pop a trophy, or achievement, depending on the platform you're on. But I also feel like the whole purpose that those things exist is to add replay value to a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't mind those collectibles at all if they were fun to collect.
Was it Pete Hines?
Well, what about
I think it was Pete Hines this week. Like, he does not let his team use the term replay value. I think it was him.
Yeah.
What about, like, the Riddler trophies?
Well, I mean, I think that depends on what kind of person you are, you know, because is that maybe, like, for me, like, a lot of the Riddler trophies, it's just, like, they're a headache to me, and so I don't have fun getting them, but there are people who love figuring that shit out.
What is so sad about the Riddler trophies is, like, some of them are fucking awesome. The way that you have to go about getting them, some of them are fucking insane. But, like, we're led to believe that in this world, in this Gotham, the Riddler has gone around carefully placing these things everywhere and sometimes making hazards or puzzles for you to have to get them. And
There's
then,
a
like,
man named Mr. Freeze and needs a cryosuit to survive.
I'm getting to this, Shanae. But, like, contextually, we find out, like, that this is a part of the canon of these games. By Arkham Knight, you find out that the Riddler has in fact done this, and that, like, he teases you. He's talking to Batman over the radio, saying, like mocking him because he hasn't got 100% of them. You know, this video game ass thing, getting 100% of these trophies. He's using that language.
Yeah.
I do think they're bullshit. Not all of them. Some of them are awesome, but you know.
But I'm talking about in a generalized form in any particular game. Like, generally, you'd say that the Riddler trophies are awesome, though. Or
some
good.
of them. There are some of those that are, like, insanely
generally,
good.
as a whole, all of the Riddler trophies.
I think
Well, I'll say this. At least
good.
they
They're
unlock
good.
lore, and
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yes.
And see, but again, like the thing about the Arkham games though is, like I said, like, even if they didn't add lore, at least in Arkham it is fun to get around that world. So those trophies can be fun to get.
What's interesting about that is, like, by that point in time, I mean, not by Arkham Asylum, but, like, certainly by the later games, people really started bitching about audio logs in games. And it's so funny because we haven't had them for that long, really.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, they're not been around that long. And with BioShock 1, people fucking loved them.
Yeah.
You know, people were all about it.
Well, I think
I still like them.
I think
me too. I love it.
I think the thing with BioShock 1 though was
As long as the audio will play while I'm still carrying on.
Yes.
I don't like that. Well, that was one of the things with Arkham is that, like, you can't, like, you have to be in the menu to listen to them.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the reasons why it works so well in BioShock is that there is, like, when you get to Rapture, like, shit's already fucked up, and so, like, you don't have a whole lot of you don't know a whole lot about what that place was before you got there.
Yeah, but I mean, you learn without them.
Yeah.
Even without, if there was 0 audio logs in that game, you would learn without them.
Yeah.
But they just add so much more to it.
Yeah.
They add definitely appreciation, like, as far as, like, their thought process, as the creator's thought process in that world. But how do you feel about completion and stuff that is collectibles in the sense of I can't think of a game that we've all played, but collectibles, basically you're collecting, like, certain items, so in another part of the game you can, like, combine them or synthesize them or whatever word that you want to use for it to create other stuff and then that is the stuff that you need to complete to get, like, lore or whatever else.
I mean, as far as combining things for lore, I don't know that I've ever necessarily done that in a game, but like Mega Man X, you collect pieces of the suit throughout levels. I love that shit. I don't know if that's what you mean or not.
Kind of, like, as far as, like,
it sounds like you're saying pieces of a whole.
So like you collect, like, 2, like, like,
talking about, like, Zelda, like fucking Link to the Past, go collect all these fucking, you know, bullshit so we can, like, Triforce and all that shit. Or, like, what are you talking about?
alright, so in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, you have your commands, like, a certain type of strike, Thundara, Blizzara, stuff like that. So like 2 blizzards, if you combine them together, you get a Blizzara. But the way that you get them is like different spells. Is you have to do things to get that spell to combine it to the next form, or buy it eventually whenever you unlock it from the money for the Moogle. So like I've seen other games like that where you have to unlock stuff to combine it to like get a better command or a better thing, and then it has a list of all the things that you have unlocked. Mm-hmm. And if you unlock all of them, then you get like a special thing.
So I feel like I'm on.
Okay, so sorry, it's hard to explain it, but you know what I mean.
Well, I feel like I feel like I'm of 2 minds of that sort of thing, right? Like, if you have me going through a game like picking up like different items, and then at one point, because I picked up all those items, like I get like a new super weapon or something like that, and like some new gameplay element is unlocked to me because of it.
Yeah.
That I can enjoy, then I'm okay with that. I like that.
That's exactly what I meant with like Link to the Past. You collect like the 3 like gem things or whatever they are.
But like with Arkham Knight though, like if you're I don't like the idea of locking the quote true ending behind whether or not I get all these Riddler trophies. I couldn't get behind that.
Yeah.
But then again, someone who's really into collecting Riddler trophies was probably really okay with that. I guess it just depends.
Trophy and achievement stats would tell you that's very few people.
Yeah. Because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get the ending to the game that happens when I don't get all those trophies, and then I'm just gonna go YouTube I'm just gonna YouTube the other ending.
Or you're gonna try real hard for a while to get all of the Riddler trophies, so you can get the true ending, then say fuck it and move on to the next game.
I'm not gonna try because I don't enjoy Riddler trophies at all in the first place. Like I will get the Riddler trophies that like I can see, and I'm like that I could probably get that because it's there.
I meant in a generalized sense, not exactly Riddler trophies.
Well, it's like trophies and achievements in general, right? Like those are a collectible in just about every game.
Yeah.
And like there are games like Transistor, right? There's a specific trophy in Transistor where you have to kill a certain amount of enemies in under a certain amount of moves. It took me forever to fucking do it. I did it. I loved it, and I loved trying over and over and over again to do it. In the same breath, Sound Shapes, I'm 1 trophy away from that platinum, and I tried over and over and over again, and I wasn't enjoying myself. So I fucking stopped.
Right.
You know?
Because the game became work at that point.
Yeah. I think that's just it. If a trophy's fun to go after, or entertaining in one way or another to go after, then that's fine. But if it's not, and it's just there to add length, I'm good. Then I just don't see the point.
There are very few. Games.
And fun is objective.
Yeah.
You know, but
there are very few games. There are very few games that have a trophy list that is comprised completely of trophies that are fun to get. And it sucks though, like, because there's that trophy that you really don't want to have to work for, and you kind of put that off till last.
Right.
And then you end up like, then you find yourself like having the worst time. Like,
or you're like, I should have worked on this while I was doing other stuff because it would have been so much easiar. But now I'm fucked and I have to go back all these places
again. See, but Sound
Shapes,
it wasn't a matter of like what order you do it in. It's just like it's something you can do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to fucking do. Beat this level. That's all it is do this level in a certain amount of time, and it's fucking hard as balls.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. I wasn't having fun with it. So why would I sit there for hours and hours and hours not having fun? You know?
I set a lot of my own goals, like with the Kingdom Hearts games. I'm gonna play all of them, except for the ones that I don't want to. And those are like the select few that like maybe not everyone agrees that I shouldn't play. And I haven't enjoyed, obviously, all of them that I've been playing as much as others.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Because of that, I don't really care about like platinuming anything. I don't think I've ever gotten 100% on anything.
I have on a lot of things, but like
as far as like achievement,
right,
or like trophies, or that, I think I don't know. I just like I always set my own goals in the game.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because like I'm pretty okay with like looking. I think I have collectibles that I want to collect. Looking at maps of where those collectibles
guides or whatever, yeah.
While I go through the game, and like I'm going through the game and I don't necessarily look at what the story walkthrough is, but I'll look at a map of the area I'm at.
Yeah.
And I make my own like rules and what I want to do with those.
I think that trophies are really more of like based on what I've understood of them, is that I feel like they are, for somebody who's like looking to get, you know, their money's worth out of the game that they bought, especially if you can't buy games like frequently. I think that they are a pretty good roadmap to seeing everything that the game has to offer. I guess it just depends on you, like, you know, how much, like, if you're the kind of person who's like, I just want to see credits and then I'm done, then I guess then I don't feel like trophies are really that much use to you. But
does each developer set what their own trophies are?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the publisher doesn't choose at all, it's just the developer?
No. Yeah, the developer makes the trophies. And what sucks is, like, there are several games now where they did not want trophies. They did not want achievements, but these companies tell them, if you want your game on our platform, you have to have those things. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder how much beta testers have as far as input for like trophy stuff.
I don't know, but like, I mean, not much. There's very little curation. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some.
No, I know. I'm talking like if your developers like trying to come up with trophies
Right.
to meet like whatever needs.
Yeah, there's developers that do very well.
And they don't want to like they don't really give a shit. They don't want to care. I wonder how much like looking at beta notes and stuff like that like would help them come up with like.
I think like Telltale really does not give a shit if there's trophies in their games or not.
Oh yeah, no.
They'll give you a platinum just for finishing the game,
Which I think is fine. If you don't care, if you as the creator of the game did not think that trophies needed to be in your game, that it in some way takes away from your game, then sure, do that shit.
Yeah, I think it's a
that's why Yoko Taro did it.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a very smart tool for like. There's this thing that we put in the game that we think is really cool, but I don't think a lot of people are going to see it unless they're going after this trophy.
Right. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I love trophies.
Yeah.
I really do. There's just some games I think do them very poorly, and I've got already a limited amount of time to play games.
Right.
I'm not going to play games I'm not having fun with.
I like when I set a mental goal of what I want to do in a game. As like even some of them are like smaller goals, and then like I do it and it unlocks a trophy. I do think that's really fun, like to find out what like my own mental like goal is, and like the creators like match up.
Yeah.
You know, I like the idea of starting a game, and then like I look like, you know, I'm just really into the game, and then I'm like, you know what, I think I'm gonna try to get all the trophies in this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whether or not I actually do it, like I like the idea of trying for it, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like when you have a game with a multiplayer mode, and that game also has multiplayer trophies, I've already resigned that I'm not gonna get all the trophies in that game, because I just like I've never been into multiplayer trophies at all.
Agreed.
And I think that my distaste for that really started with the first Gears of War. Because it was a lot of people like just doing like stupid shit in multiplayer for the specific purpose of getting a trophy.
Yeah, the only time multiplayer trophies bother me is if they do affect the game, like you're saying, or if it's something like online multiplayer that will eventually no longer exist.
Right.
That bothers me.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, here's your Call of Duty trophies, like I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was an interesting thing too, because I remember back when the first Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed right away is that there are no multiplayer trophies in that game.
And that, for me, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I think the focus on that game should be multiplayer trophies.
Yeah.
Like the focus on that trophy list should be multiplayer.
And the 10 years since that game came out, I have gone back. I think back to that game a lot, especially since the games because Modern Warfare 2 definitely had trophies in it.
Sure.
Multiplayer trophies in it, and I'd always with the obvious amount of care and focus that they did put into the multiplayer of that game.
It's the main focus for the
games.
It
just made me. It was just like, why? Like, why were there no multiplayer trophies in that game?
I feel like it was either some Uncharted game or Assassin's Creed Brotherhood that had really, really stupid online multiplayer trophies where I was like, or achievements, and I was like, fuck this shit.
Well, Uncharted never had achievements, but I know what you mean. I think with the Nathan Drake collection, they removed all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the PS3 games, I don't know. I'm really not sure. With Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, I played on PlayStation 3, not on the new collection.
Yeah.
And I just played straight through the single player games. I didn't give a shit about collectibles and trophies.
I would be surprised if
I like the collectibles as far as all the treasures goes, but I don't go after trophies.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if Uncharted 4 didn't have multiplayer trophies. But like with The Last of Us, a game that like I just absolutely adore, the single player, like I went through on like before I realized that there were multiplayer trophies, which I don't. This was also before I realized there was multiplayer mode in that game. I played that game because I was like, you know what, I want to get all the trophies in it. I love this game so much. I want to get all the trophies in it, which is why I went through and beat it on the hardest difficulty. And I was like, all right, I'm well on my way. And then like I went through the trophy list to like track my progress. Like, oh, there's multiplayer trophies in this.
Yeah. What's funny about that is like, I feel like you did more work than I did because you beat Grounded and got that trophy.
Yeah.
But I think I have more trophies in that than you because I actually did some of the multiplayer.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of multiplayer, right? And don't get me wrong, I think the multiplayer game is a lot better than I would have expected it to be.
Had you not played any of the Uncharted multiplayers?
The only one that I've played is Uncharted 4 multiplayer. Yeah. But at the same time, it's multiplayer trophies had always been a point of contention for me because I was always just like, I've never been good enough at like online shooter multiplayer to the point where I felt like I could earn a trophy. Like there's a shitload of Battlefield 3 and 4 trophies that I would have never earned because I've just never been good at those games.
I don't think that I play with most people consistently online enough to get the multiplayer trophies or achievements without just like pissing people off.
I think you'd be surprised though, in most of these games, the multiplayer trophies are some of what you would expect.
Yeah.
Get X amount of kills or X amount of wins or whatever that, whatever the case may be. But oftentimes they're just as simple as some of the single player trophies. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like the ones that are like, do this at this time or do this when this thing happens, like online, as far as like those go, that like really you gotta like chance or keep trying at to like make happen. And like if I play with friends, I don't care about that because they know what I'm trying to do. But if I play with strangers, I get really bad anxiety about like I'm just fucking shit up for them. So
yeah, and you shouldn't fuck up everybody's good time for your trophy, you know.
Which is like that's why I've always had like, that's one of the reasons why I've had a distaste for multiplayer trophies, because I feel like it involves like fucking up someone else's good time to get that trophy. Like I said with Gears of War, like one of them is like run out and tag someone with a smoke grenade.
Yeah,
which like serves like no practical purpose in the context of the match.
I get that, but like at least with Call of Duty and with most online games that I have like heavily been into,
right,
whether it be Call of Duty or Street Fighter, most of the online trophies are, not all, but most of them are things that you would get with natural gameplay anyway.
Right, and that's what I like fighting game trophies, because I think that they're also like a really, really cool, like tangible way to kind of chart your progress.
Sure.
As you're getting better at the game.
No, I 100% agree with that sentiment. Yeah.
I think like COD trophies are very similar.
As long as it's like about like get a like kill someone with this kind of weapon, like get like a good sniper kill. But like I just don't like that when it's like go out and do this thing that's ridiculous and makes no actual
I think that's dumb
sense.
too.
Yes. Or like some racing game, like jump off this ramp and land on like this area, but it's not necessarily the quickest way to like get around something.
Yeah.
And I just like if it's not gonna win me it or like improve anything or naturally happen, I'm like fuck this.
I remember there's a last gen there's a racing series that I was really into called Grid, and one of the trophies for the first Grid game was to do a 180, like spin a 180, and then still win the match or win the race rather, and like I tried so many times, and a lot of the times it involved me. I tried to do the 180 and then slamming into a bunch of other cars. I could never do it. But at the same time, there are also like kind of really funny ones. Like when Dead or Alive 4 came out, one of the trophies or achievements rather, one of the achievements was lose 5 matches in a row, and I have that achievement. And like
Ninja Gaiden had one. It's like die 1,000 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Die 100, then die 1,000 or something.
Yeah. And as much as I love the Dark Souls games, I know that I would never 100% any Dark Souls game. But,
what?
I think that there are a lot. I think like I recognize like my skill ceiling with those games, and there are some things that I think that are kind of outside of my.
I feel like the Dark Souls, to get those achievements, you have to keep replaying it over and over and over again. Because a lot of them that I've heard Berto talk about, because I'm not like a Dark Souls necessarily fan, except I played more Demon Souls than I've ever played any of the Dark Souls games. Granted, they're the same series, but whatever. Anyways.
Well, that is interesting because there aren't a lot of people. There are comparatively fewer people that can say that.
Well, I've played like 10 to 20 hours of Demon Souls, and I've played collectively probably less than 5 of the rest of the games.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it's not like it's like a grand scale, but but like Berto was telling me about a lot of those, and some of them were like play the whole game and not do this, or play the game and only do this one thing, and a lot of them just like seems like you have to get 100% on those, you have to play the game at least 10 times.
Well, I think that with Dark Souls specifically, I think that one of the things that I've noticed about that community is that they all, and like for the people who are like really hardcore into those games, they really enjoy finding new ways to challenge themselves. Like that's why you see like games where people are like doing stuff like naked runs and like doing unarmed runs and shit like that.
Playing Dark Souls on the DK jungle drums.
Yeah, I guess, but like I think that's where a lot of that comes from, and I think that also Dark Souls is very much a game that lends itself well to multiple playthroughs.
But 10?
I mean, I've never played through any Dark Souls game 10 times, but then again, there are very few games that I've played through 10 times.
Well, like I can name several games I've played through 20 times, but they're games I really loved.
Yeah.
If you really love Dark Souls, maybe you would eventually play through that many times. It's not a particularly long game. Dark Souls can be beaten pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First one?
Yeah, you see runs that are like under 5 hours.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like people like doing runs with like no armor and just like running straight through, like killing only the bosses that they need to. Shit like that. It's actually like there are a lot of people like that Dark Souls speedrun community is actually, pretty impressive. But
this is like not even speedrunners. Like this is people that are just pretty good at the game.
Yeah, because I mean, like a lot of Dark Souls for me, it seems like it's just memorizing the moves of. I mean, granted that could be said about multiple games, but it's just memorizing the timing of the enemies.
Pattern recognition.
Yeah. And there's a guy who was so good at that he beat the entire game without getting hit once.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I could never do that, but.
Is that an achievement or trophy?
No. It would be cool if it were, but I think
at the same time, no, it's not cool. Cause
but at the same time, like, I think that again, like. Trophies, I love like trophies that are fun to get and like trophies that like have like a satisfying feel to them and like really help me like if I were getting trophies, if I was like earning trophies in like Street Fighter 5, like I would love that because I would like it's I can like I've got like a way to like see how, like besides like winning more and more matches, like I have like monuments to like these milestones that I have like with that game.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, like, it is all stuff that would not all of it, but the majority of it is stuff that would just naturally occur.
Yeah. What would you say is like I assume that you've looked through like all of them for Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
What looked like the hardest one to get in that?
There's stuff like hitting certain ranks.
Yeah.
Right? Because that means you have to be pretty fucking good at the game, like real fucking good to get some of the stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's hard. But most of them are like, do an EX move 50 times or 100 times. That's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Do a super finish a few hundred times.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. Naturally, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Are there any like winning streak trophies?
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are.
Again, I'm sure that's never been why you play those games. So.
No, but even so, like that's something that would probably naturally occur if you keep at that game. That is something that would naturally occur.
Yeah.
You're not going to play. I mean, I guess you could argue differently, but I don't think you're going to play most any skill-based game consistently over and over and over again and not get better.
Yeah.
And
like granted, there's like there's always going to be a point at which like you kind of peak, but I think that there's always something like if you're actually into it and you're paying attention to what you're doing, then you're always going to learn something new, right?
But it's also like you seeing where you peak is really a lot of hindsight stuff. So if you like you said, if you keep at it, then you're gonna see your peak is something much different. But but as far as hypothetical achievements, what?
You made a Always Sunny reference.
But as far as I think it'd be fun if somehow they could create an achievement system. Obviously it'd have to be in the future, of
in the year 2000.
In 2019, the distant future. If there was a first person to do this, first person to do that.
Oh, there's already
maybe not get points for it, but say there is a Luigi's Mansion game or something, a new one or whatever, and
first person to suck them.
There's already online things for that. You can go online and see who the first person to platinum certain games were.
Well,
or the first person to get trophies in certain games.
I would be alright, so say a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. First person to ollie off of this after doing this and this combo. You are that first person.
Too specific.
No, I would like that though. I want a super specific thing. So everybody could be
would you know what that trophy was? Would you already see it there, or would it be hidden until you did it?
I'm saying futuristic things, that trophy's kind of made for you, first person to do this, use things new.
If it's made for you and it's something that specific that you probably just happened to do when unlocked, what's the point? Then it's just here,
I will
here's
say
a trophy.
This. I will say this. I
don't know.
I don't know how.
I think it'd be really fun to be I have the first person to do this thing.
Well, I will say this.
If he values it.
I don't know how many people care about World of Warcraft trophies, or achievements or whatever. But I do know that they had achievements for the first person to clear this raid or shit like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of, and I think Destiny might have had something like that. I don't know. Maybe probably not. But.
Well, I think something like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, or even something like Breath of the Wild. First person to skate off this mountain, go into this, and then be caught on fire. So if something ridiculous happens to you, it just pops up on your profile that you did it.
Yeah, I don't like
it. Maybe not necessarily give points or whatever, but have a fun fact thing.
I don't like it.
I like it.
Not into it.
I'm into it.
Shanae, I'm gonna tell you, your idea didn't focus well just then. It didn't test well just then. I admire your moxie and your gumption.
Sure.
I like what I like. It's fine.
Yeah. Look, Shanae. We've talked about it before that at some point, someone is gonna make another manufacturer is gonna enter the platform game, the console game.
Yeah, it's dumb to think otherwise.
And maybe you can pitch that to them.
Sure. Atari, you're coming back.
Yeah,
and they're coming. Talk to me, guys. I got plenty of ideas.
They're gonna come out with their new customizable achievement algorithm.
Well, I would say snapshot. Let's call them snapshots.
Okay, they're gonna come out with Atari snapshots.
Gotcha.
You're the first one to do a 900 in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 6. That's it.
Tom, could you hate me a little less right now?
Yeah.
Shanae.
Yes.
What are your closing thoughts?
I like certain collectibles, but not all.
Okay. Tommy, what are your closing thoughts?
Nothing. Have a good week.
Happy Labor Day weekend.
There's a Labor Day, Shanae.
Well, I just realized that you're going to be listening to this after Labor Day happens.
But
we could put it up tomorrow if you want.
You want to do that?
No.
Okay. This has been the Save Continue podcast. As always, it's a pleasure to bring the show to you. Again, my name is Ryan. That's Shanae. There's Tom.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.